Many of us are called idealistic, and this seems fair enough, broadly speaking. Those leveling these charges often seem to be men without ideals, often men who negate the very conception of the ideal, or relativists who balk at the idea that any one thing may be definitively superior to any other. The aristocrats of the soul, to borrow a term from Julius Evola, instinctively and everywhere love and resonate with the true ideal, and all those willing to proactively strive toward it. The divine is perfection manifest, and perfection manifest is the divine. We can't attain definitive and absolute perfection in any sphere as flawed and fallible beings, but we can strive toward this goal as long as we're able to find our bearings and discern this path. Some etymologists speculate that the term man is cognate with the Latin manus, meaning hand. Nearly every major spiritual tradition describes a subset of mankind being created and set apart by a divine force, the hand of God, intended to spread and cover the earth and be fruitful and multiply, and to create and orient and structure in His image, to be a beautifying and ordering force to the best of our ability. Many ancient peoples viewed God as the ultimate hyparxis, the hierarch of hierarchs, the peak of the mountain, the fount from which all good things flow. As Davila rightly states, hierarchies are celestial. In hell, all are equal. The road to hell is paved with confusion, an inability to employ our intuitive gifts of judgment or discernment, an inability to think or act justly, a convoluted chaos. True justice isn't in treating all things equally. True justice is giving everything its rightful due. There is no equality in the sphere of perfect justice, as evidenced by the fact that there is no equality in nature or the universe. The stronger or faster man wins the Olympic medal because he is strongest or fastest. The most beautiful sculpture is displayed for all the world to see because it is beautiful. The most gifted architect is selected to build the structure. This is just. It's the ideal form of justice that sets the world in right order, with all things in their proper place. I'm enamored and humbled and respectful toward our people and our ancestors and their history in proportion to their recognition of this ultimate ideal and this sense of duty and obligation the best of them seem to feel in pursuit of it. Like a fallible animal with a divine spark buried deep within, choosing to listen to and quest toward that light. I'd suggest even the unprecedented martial prowess displayed throughout history was often a direct manifestation of this. After all, a lesson they knew well, and one which we'd benefit from rediscovering and keeping foremost in mind today. Really and truly loving something requires you to be dangerous enough to protect it. The best of these men loved deeply, and thus fashioned themselves into the most potent of all weapons, to stand guard, and thus became capable of the greatest and most proficient violence. Not the malevolent cruelty of a small and petty spirit, but a wholly and completely just brutality, engaged in with spotless conscience, of the sort a father might feel in defending his home and his children from violent intruders with murderous intent. Beauty and the ideal should be understood in the broadest sense here. Because we're simple creatures, the vast majority of us need the physical manifestation of this beauty as constant reminder. But it goes far beyond the purely external aesthetic nature. There can be beauty in thoughts and ideas, in speech or writing, in bearing or posture or movement and physical carriage, in actions, in philosophies, in ideologies, worldviews, or perspectives. There's an art and artfulness to each of these aspects of existence. To the degree that we recognize this, we're then able to better cultivate it. When Fyodor Dostoevsky has a prince in his work, The Idiot, utter the phrase, "Beauty will save the world," this far broader conception is what's being referenced here. To quote Keats, "Beauty is truth, truth, beauty. That is all ye know on earth, and all ye need to know." The struggle we're facing as we speak has many levels, many aspects, elements, dimensions. But please do pay close attention to all that's being presently targeted for destruction. It's more than a nation, or even a race or culture, or idea or ideology. What they're scrambling to kill off, by any and every means necessary, is this beauty. It seems that every ideal has a target on its back, and with regard to these, what they seek is a conceptual inversion. There is no darker or more polluting and disorienting force. These are the most direct and literal form of degenerates. Modern thinking, led by Freudian and similar schools of modern psychology, pushes us into both recognizing and dwelling on the darkest aspects of our nature, seeking them out, making them a central focus. As every ideal is mocked, derided, or pushed from view, grotesque monsters are everywhere trotted out to take their place on this pedestal. Just as with modern nihilistic mindsets, if you're looking for reasons to suffer, you will always find them. If you're looking for ugliness and disorientation in the world, you will find it nearly everywhere. The more we look for something, the more we find, and the more it becomes central, dominant, our leading orienting force. Looking back to the greatest and highest peaks of Western culture and spirit, it couldn't be any more obvious that they knew better, never denying that darkness existed, yet seeking to properly frame it, to help spur a vigilance of sorts against it. But meanwhile, surrounding themselves with beauty and the ideal. So if God is the ultimate hyparxis, the hierarch of hierarchs, the monarch of monarchs, whose influence and being was responsible for the creation of all hierarchical structure to the beginning of recorded history and beyond, those closest to him, those who walked most closely with him and heard his voice most clearly, those who best and most clearly represented his excellence and grace and nobility and perfect virtue, in the best of circumstances inevitably became some of the greatest leaders and heroes of old. And this was precisely as it should be, as it must be. When we lose this ability to recognize and champion the ideal, the beautiful and healthy and well-oriented and well-ordered, contrasted with its opposites, we gradually come to lose everything. The rats take over the sinking ship. Thieves and robbers become leaders and shepherds. Cheapness and ugliness spreads throughout all spheres and becomes contagious, and life loses its luster, its charm and grace and energy and spirit. This fight is vastly larger and more important than it may seem at first glance. To the degree that it's lost, all things degrade and decline, until gradually life becomes no longer worth living. But never forget that the degree to which it's won, life can become inestimably more valuable and profound and worthwhile and beautiful. So yes, many of us, certainly myself included, may be idealistic in a sense. But I'd suggest we should all strive for this ideal. If, at any specific moment in time, we fall several steps short, at the very least we're further along our way, and the next attempt has a firmer foundation and an even better chance. Beauty will help save the world, and our ideals act as guideposts along the way, helping better orient our internal compass. Becoming idealistic represents your higher nature seeking out the divine, the best and greatest part of you seeking its kith and kin, its natural home. Please listen to it. It points the way.